Hello, this is lesson 2.1, day 1 of fractions and decimals. So please, on your left side of your notebook, I want you to split your paper into 4 sections and pause the video so you can write the heading, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Now on the upper left side, I want you to write the following, which you see, into the upper left side of your notes. Pause the video right now to do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. So what we have here is first the word rational numbers, and rational numbers are any numbers that can be expressed on a number line. So for example, -5 is a rational number, 1/4 is a rational number, and then decimals can also be rational numbers. This one is a repeating decimal because it has a repeating bar, and this is another decimal that's called a terminating decimal because it ends, and then we have this mixed number here, which is also considered rational numbers. So rational numbers are all these types of numbers. And then the other thing we have at the bottom here is place value, and that's important to note when we're changing a fraction into a decimal. Now remember here, these are just the names of the place value. Here we have the tens place, the ones place, the tenths, hundredths, thousands, etc. So the next one would be 10,000ths and then 100,000ths. So these numbers here represent fractions, and these numbers here are whole numbers. Okay, so now we're looking at the upper right side, and what I want you to do is copy what you see onto your paper and then pause the video to do so, and then when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to change these decimals to a fraction. So for the first problem, we have -0.8. So what I tell kids to do is I tell kids to look at the place value of the last digit in the decimal. So that's this place value. And this place value is the tenths place. So go ahead and write tenths underneath. So then to make this a fraction, what you do is you put the number, which in this case is 8. Okay, you're going to put the number, actually it's going to be -8. And since it's in the tenths place, you put it over 10. And then you simplify. So both of these numbers can be simplified by 2. So let's go ahead, divide them both by 2 and show your work. And then this is finally going to be simplified to -4/5. So 0.8 is -4/5. Now let's take a look at a problem like number 2, where now we have a digit in front of the decimal and we have some on the back. So what we're going to do here is we're going to underline the last digit, okay? And we look at the place that that digit is in, which in this case it's the hundredths. So I want you to go ahead and write the word hundredths underneath that 5. All right, and then the number in front of the decimal, anything in front of the decimal, that's going to be the whole number. So in this case, we'll put here just the whole number. We'll put here whole. It's actually called the ones, but since that's the whole number in front, we're going to then, when we make it a fraction, we put the 4 in front of the fraction. Okay, that's the whole number. And then for the 45, we put that as 45 hundredths. Okay, and then here we simplify. Now because both of these are divisible, both of these numbers end in a 5 and a 0, so you're just going to divide them both by 5, and then this is going to be a mixed number, and it simplifies to 4 and 9/20. And now you box your answer. So let's just do one more, problem number 3. On problem number 3, again, we have a number in front of the decimal. So here, this is our whole number. Okay, this is actually in the ones place, but this is our whole number that's going to be in front of the fraction. And now the 2, that's going to be our fraction part. The 2 is in the tenths place, so let's write tenths. Okay, and so then our mixed number, it's going to be negative. Okay, it's going to be -3, and then it's going to be 2/10. So we put 2 over 10. And then as you can see, you can simplify both of these because the numerator and denominator are divisible by 2. So then our simplified mixed number is going, I'll write it down here, is -3 1/5. And that's how we make decimals into fractions or mixed numbers. Okay, now let's take a look at the lower left side of your notes. Copy everything you see on the screen onto your paper carefully using different colors to underline the vocabulary words. Pause the video so you can do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so we're going to look at here where it says all fractions can be written as terminating decimals, which are decimals that end. So we have 0.75, 1.8. Okay, they terminate. They have no digits after that last digit on the decimal. It just stops. Or fractions can be written as repeating decimals, where one or more digits repeat. So here we'll use a repeating bar. In this example here, 0.3 repeating, that would be 0.333, and then you would see a dot after that. So this is what this decimal looks like. Okay, dot, dot, dot. And 4.12 with a bar over both digits, that decimal looks like this when you're writing it out the long way. And then you would put dot, dot, dot. Okay, so when the bar's over both digits, those digits repeat. Now let's take a look at the bottom right. So now we're going to turn these fractions into a decimal. And if they become terminating and repeating decimals, how do we make them those types of decimals? So this is how you do it. So looking at number 4, we have 3/8. What I tell kids is I tell them to think about the hamburger place In and Out. And you're going to write the words in and out on the fraction like this. So everybody do that with your other color. And then what that means, it tells you what number goes on the inside and what number goes on the outside of the division symbol. So 3 is going to go on the inside, 8 is going to go on the outside. And the reason why we divide is because remember, this bar here also stands for division. So this is saying 3 divided by 8. So that's how we remember also that it's division. So 3 goes on the inside, 8 goes on the in and out. Now we divide. Now you know that 8 cannot go into 3, and that's when you start to put in the decimal point and the 0. Okay, and then you bring the decimal point up. 8 goes into 30 3 times, and then you get 24. You subtract, and then you have a 6, so you bring down a 0 to make it 60. 8 goes into 67 times, and that's going to be 56. And then you subtract, and you get a 4, so you add another 0. And you bring that 0 down, and now 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, and now we're done. So I can put a 0 in front of this decimal point, but this is my decimal for 3/8, 0.375. And this is what we call a terminating decimal. So now let's look at how we do it for a mixed number. So on a mixed number, we're still going to write in and out next to the fraction part. So I want you to do that, right? In and out. Okay? Except for this part right here, this number here, this is our whole number, okay? So I always tell kids you don't have to make it in proper fraction. You can just leave it on the side. And first, let's go ahead and divide the fraction part, the 2/3. So we're going to put our little division house, okay? We're going to put 2 on the inside, 3 on the outside. Put our decimal point, bring it up, put in our 0. Okay, so now 3 goes into 26 times. And then 6 times 3 is 18. You subtract, you get a 2. And then you bring down the 0. And then 3 goes into 26 times again. And then you get 18. Okay? You subtract and you get a 2. And so now you'll start to see, wait a second, there's a pattern here. I'm always going to get a 20, which means this is always going to be a 6. Okay? And then we go ahead, and if you already realize it's going to be a repeating decimal, okay, I'm just going to keep adding 6 and dot, 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 then we're going to be using a repeating bar. But don't forget about this whole number here in front, okay, this ones place, this number is going to go in front of the decimal point, okay, that'll be going here, okay, so that's where this goes. I'm going to draw an arrow to that, okay. So now, when we write this as a repeating decimal, okay, 2 2/3, we're going to use a repeating bar. So our repeating bar looks like this. It's going to be 2.6 with a bar over the 6 only, because that's the digit that repeats. And then we box this as our final answer. Okay? And that's all for your notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.